All right, so here's a question I want to figure out. Can you go viral, get users, and get paying customers without a personal brand? My team and I spend hours every week researching what is actually working right now for online businesses. And one thing we keep seeing is people are using these really simple templates to get their first customer and sometimes even generate tens of thousands of dollars. Super simple stuff that really you can kind of just copy and paste. So in today's video, we're going to be breaking down 4 of these examples of this kind of viral content, specifically a single tweet that generated $30,000 with 0 audience, a reel that got 80,000 views using something a little different, an Instagram post that led to a 1,400% increase in traffic, and an example of what you should and should not do when posting on subreddits. We'll go over why they work and how you can do it too. So if you're looking for content ideas that are working literally right now, you're going to love this episode. As always, leave your feedback in the comments and tell us which idea you like the most and you could see yourself trying out. Let's go.
All right, let's get into it. I have 4 examples today. Let's do the first one. I'm going to share my screen. This is an example from Twitter. It's this guy named Eddie. This is a launch announcement post that got 3 million views. And what it is, it looks like it's an app that simulates if your tweet's going to go viral or not. So if you're looking at this, obviously there's a lot going on here, but there's 2 versions of a tweet, and sort of what it's simulating supposedly is how viral one version will go, version A versus version B. And a couple of things that I think are really interesting about this particular post. Good hook on Twitter. What works is like short, snappy. This one like really just tells you in one sentence what this does. Build an algorithm that simulates how thousands of users react to your tweet, so you'll know it goes viral before you post. So that's one thing I found interesting. We see a lot of like call to actions, or I see, it's always like sign up for my email list, sign up for this lead magnet. But his call to action was like, you can get access right now by joining this Google Meet, which I've never seen before. And maybe you have or not. I don't know. I thought that was like a really interesting thing to see. There's like a concept, not to get too heady, but there's a concept of called like purple cow from some marketer named Seth Godin. That's like do shit that's like different. And this is very different. And the last thing before I'll pass it over to you all is, according to this tweet, this other tweet, said he made $30K in 24 hours selling through Google Meet after one viral tweet.
30,000?
I actually went through the process of the product is called CrowdTest AI, where you can kind of input your tweet here, input it over here, and if you want to predict, it takes you to a sales page.
Oh,
$1,000 per month.
Nice. This is so smart. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That's just like some initial thoughts. I have some other stuff, but
some of the numbers. Go to some of the engagement numbers. How many comment? Wow. So 3.3 million views, almost 10,000 likes, over 350 comments. That's crazy. And how many followers does this guy have?
Right now, I wish I could see at the time of his posting. 19,000 followers.
Wow. Yeah. So he's not like a super big account, and probably he got like 10,000 followers from this. And does it say? I see here it says he's 17 years old.
Yeah.
Nice. I mean, it seems like a pretty cool idea. I have no idea how that actually works, and it's a really cool idea, and it's smart that he's charging $1,000 for that. Like really, like that's just going to attract a probably more like enterprise and B2B just by charging a lot more for something kind of crazy. And if he did 30 customers times 1,000, that's how he got to the 30,000 probably. And that's a great start for a product.
I think the really interesting about this is like the live selling aspect.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is going to blow up even more because I've been seeing a bunch of people kind of talking about it. I know Gary Vee had mentioned something about it with like, they're doing it on TikTok, the live selling, and that's just like e-commerce products. And I think Daniel Dalen had made a tweet too saying the same thing of in China, live shopping is like really huge. So the fact that you can kind of do this with SaaS too and make, put on a live demo of your product and maybe even answer questions in real time and basically come over objections for people, that's kind of insane. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's a huge play just to even close sales instantly. It's kind of nuts.
Yeah, it creates like a FOMO, it's like there's no place to put your email in or anything like that. And this feels like this new, shiny, crazy product that doesn't exist yet. So people want to get on there and, you get on a call and before you know it, you've handed over your credit card and you haven't even thought about it, right?
Yeah.
I think a post like this, obviously it's cool. It's like, it's interesting, good hook, good video. Like we've seen this a million times. But I think what, in my opinion, makes it interesting, especially for like a space like Twitter or anyone building online, is you really want to go viral. I feel like that's just like a desire that people building online want. And so this is like a perfect product to be like, well, yeah, I need to go viral, or I'll spend $1,000 once to try it out for a month. I think it just hits this like deep desire, or like this like really desire that people want to go viral, be famous, get attention.
There's two things here that I think are really great. I mean, one is a little harder to do. It's proof. This is proof that his app actually works because he did it for his own app. Like if you look in some of the comments there, it's like, did you do it with this post? And he's like, yeah, we iterated through like 50 different posts to get this one. And this one has 3 million views. So already you just have proof right there in your face. You don't need any social proof or proof that this actually works. This is like, built into the actual marketing itself, which is really smart. But the other thing that I think that probably doesn't get talked about is retention. And this is something that, people talk about on YouTube, is like, if you can get someone to stay till the end of your YouTube video, then, YouTube's going to show that to, a million people or whatever. This is a small little Twitter hack, and Twitter has changed their algorithm to be about retention. So basically, I mean, I don't know exactly how the Twitter algorithm works, but I do know one thing is that they likely track how long you stay on a post. So right now they're tracking how long you are hanging around on this post and seeing how much you hang out or keep scrolling. And what's really smart about this is it has this one line. It doesn't overshare too much. It doesn't say, hey, we built this thing. This is how it works. This is how it does, blah, 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 all this stuff. They just say, hey, I built this. And that's it. It's one sentence. It doesn't even have a period in the sentence. And then they have the video that you watch it and you see something happening, which is like, what the hell is going on here? It's very snappy video and it's getting you to stay. And likely, I saw this post before and I watched this post like 5 to maybe 10 times, replay over and over. Yeah. So I could like kind of understand what was going on in this post. And that signaled to the Twitter algorithm that this is a post that people want to learn more about and is interesting rather than just scrolling through. So this can be done in a lot of different ways on Twitter. Obviously, this is an extreme example where you get 3 million views, but that's something that we do when we post stuff on Starter Story is, yeah, you could write a book, but people are like, oh, I don't want to read that book right now. Or you could just write one thing and give a video or a photo or something like that. It's like when you go on Twitter and you'll see someone post like a screenshot of, let's say, like a bunch of bullet points, like here's everything that's going on in OpenAI news today or something like that. That works because people click the screenshot, they look at it, they sit there for a few minutes, and that tells the Twitter algorithm, this tweet has retention, right? And you probably can find an example, right? This is a good example right here. Is like, people are going to sit there and read that, and Twitter likes that. And that goes for all the algorithms or platforms. LinkedIn, all that stuff is going to be like that. So that's a little hack that can probably double your impressions. All right. So if you like this example, I think you're really going to like this. This one example is just one of our $1 million attention ideas database. Our team spent weeks researching this stuff and putting it all into a place that you can download all these right now. 50 plus social media ideas that you can basically copy and paste right now. Maybe you throw them into ChatGPT, throw a little details about what you're building, and voila. Yes, it might need a little bit more work than that, but these work because they are proven templates. If you think getting lots of impressions on social media is about luck, well, I dare you to try these out because These work based on all the principles that we've talked about today, retention, hooks, and all that stuff. So if you really want to try some of this stuff out, like the stuff we're talking about today, check out the first link in the description and you can download all these, get access to them, and get started growing your business. All right, let's get back and let's talk about some more ideas.
All right, next example. This one's from Instagram. I have a couple from Instagram. It's an Instagram account called Poor Boy Coffee. I've been following this guy for like the past year. Different, obviously, than some of the like SaaS products and apps we usually see. He's building a coffee shop in San Francisco or outside of San Francisco. And you can scroll through this, but one of the things that he's done for the past year is do these types of posts where he sort of shows off the revenue and a little bit more behind the scenes stuff of his coffee shop. So in this example, he's doing a number of cups sold, revenue, gross revenue in week 1, gross revenue in week 6, and then total revenue at the bottom. There's a couple things that I think are really interesting about this. One is we were just talking about like that retention, having the numbers behind a post-it note to reveal, like makes me want to stick around and see like, okay, what is the revenue? I've always been curious about how much a cup of coffee costs or whatever. So that's one thing that I find really interesting. And then the second thing, and then I'll turn it over to you guys, is I think people really like these kinds of posts that sort of reveal the numbers or the behind the scenes stuff. We see all that always on Twitter. It feels like those pop off. And then something like this, I think, is another example of that, where people are really interested in like, what are the actual numbers going on behind this business? I've always been interested to know
People want to know how much.
Yeah, people want to know how much do you make and like what's the breakdown of that? So yeah, I think those are two things immediately that pop out to me. What do you guys think?
I love this format. I think this works in like a bunch of other niches too, like you guys said. Just the interest around the numbers of the business and how much it costs to actually start. It just gets almost anybody interested because, somebody might be watching and say, hey, I could actually start a coffee shop because I see the cost now and I see that the investment is actually not that bad. So I think there's like natural interest in that. And I saw it in the golf niche the other day. Some guy did the same thing for like golf and how much it costs to actually play a tour pro golf tournament. And he does it across a couple different things, like how much it costs to be a pro golfer. And I think it's just kind of cool because people are just always interested in how much things cost nowadays. Really interesting format. Gets a pretty broad audience too to come in and watch it.
Both of these guys are basically doing the same thing. He's using the whiteboard and all that. Seems like something that anybody can do. If you're running any sort of business, just list out how much it costs to run your business and do it in a kind of cool way like that. Go buy a whiteboard at Target or something like that and just write that down. That's just like so easy.
And that having that prop, I think, is like makes it easier to like have a visual. And obviously a place like Instagram is such a visual medium. So I think that really helps too.
Yeah. Like he could go and put all those numbers as graphics, but I think people are like kind of tired of the heavy graphical stuff. Like just give me something authentic and put it on the whiteboard. Like I'm in school, like it's nostalgic. I'm at school right now and the teacher's writing on the whiteboard, or, I'm in the meeting room and we're using the whiteboard rather than, some fancy graphics or something like that. The one thing that I think, go reload this page real quick. This is really, really small thing that happens. See what happens when like right when it starts, he sits down. He could have started filming this. This is a small little hack for anyone watching this to get a little bit of the sauce. He could have just started filming it and when he has started sitting down, but there's this little movement thing, like reload the page right now and watch what happens in the very, very first split second. He sits down right there. That creates movement. If you watch any Mr. Beast short or anything like that, everything starts with movement. It's like, hey, quick, let me sit down, something like that. And that's just a little tiny hack that you'll notice all great. This guy's a really good content creator. You can clearly tell. They all do this.
Yeah. That's funny that you say that because there was a meme kind of going around and it was how the different age generations start a video. And it was like Gen Z does like the kind of like snappy thing where you fix your camera or something like that. And like the boomers just press record and then make sure like the first thing is just them sitting and it's kind of like awkward.
Interesting.
So
I never saw that.
Yeah, it's funny because Gen Z kind of already knows, like we know how to keep attention and make things interesting. So it's a really good hack.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's like the pause, the millennial
Yeah.
pause.
Yeah,
something like
the
that.
millennial pause.
I've never heard of this.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, the idea is
Yeah.
like she starts with sort of the shaking versus millennials will start with like press play. Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting too. This next one is another Instagram example. It's from a guy in the Starter Story community named Dan Gorby. This one's different than the last one. The last one was a video. Maybe you're not comfortable like doing video stuff. You can totally be comfortable posting a picture, in this case, a carousel. And this is a sort of launch announcement for his app that he built. I think we've talked about it before in other places. It's called the Focus app. And so obviously you see the copy here on the side, I made an app, blah, 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 blah. And what's cool about the graphics, I think here are, it kind of announces what he does, a little bit of like my story, how long it took me to build this thing, some like kind of addressing some of the doubts, and then sort of an advertisement for his app, finishing with like, hey, try it now. And I think this is a cool example, like I said already, of a different kind of Instagram post to kind of announce what you're doing or like what you're starting. So this was something I thought that anybody could do this, which is I think the thing that I'm taking away from it.
It doesn't have that many likes, but I'm curious, are there any numbers behind this? Because he's in our community.
Yeah. What he shared was he got 2,000 views, 71 likes, 31 comments, and probably most interesting, 1,400% increase in traffic since that post.
Wow.
So drove people to the Focus Project, his app, thefocusproject.com. That's the big thing right there, right? Is it may not seem like a lot of views or a lot of likes, but 1,400% increase to his app, the Focus Project.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I like this example because it's so simple. It's not 3 million views or whatever. The problem here that I see that, and why I like to show this one is that so many people are afraid to even share on their own personal network that they're starting a business or that they built something or that they did something. A lot of people, for a lot of reasons, want to just, kind of build in silence and hope I can, get users and then get successful and then I can share that I'm doing this thing. But I think that, man, if you're not willing to go and, post on, tell your friends, tell your family, post on your own network, then I'm not sure if you can make it. Sure, there are examples of people that did it without that, but even if it doesn't really have some crazy results in terms of, revenue or something like that, that is a mental or psychological step that you have to take to become someone who builds something and eventually, becomes an entrepreneur and builds something that makes money and all that. Is that something that you guys ever thought about too? Like, cause I some people are like afraid that people are going to hear about it, that their boss is going to hear that they're starting something. That's the one big objection that I get.
I mean, yeah, 100%. I feel like I've heard of people who start like different accounts on like Instagram or Twitter, things like that, so that they can feel like they can share it a little bit more like in stealth. But anyways, yeah, I do feel that for sure, where I'm like, what are people going to think? What is my friends are they going to judge me? Are they going to think I'm stupid? Which, yeah, has held me back for like a long time. I think that I know, Pat, you talk a lot about like attention and all that stuff. And that's such a like, it seems easy or feels like it should be easier than it is.
Yeah.
And in some ways it is like, we're not talking about crazy complicated things here.
Yeah.
It's just more about willingness to put yourself out there, which is like probably the hardest thing in all this.
Yeah, it's like not afraid to be scrutinized by people.
Yeah.
It's definitely the most difficult thing. Like I remember when I first started just making videos, like podcast clips online, I had like 100, 200 followers on Twitter, and I was afraid to post just like a podcast clip that I did because I was just like, people are going to be like, what is he doing? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And you kind of go through all those emotions, but it's not really that big of a deal at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember feeling that way too. And I mean, the reality is that people are probably, maybe they won't say it to you, but they are probably thinking it, maybe you got some like buddies that, you went to high school or college with, and they're kind of doing their own thing. They see you doing something new. They're probably going to, give you a little crap or, whatever. That's just life. But I think people, when you do put yourself out there and like Gus, if you can share your screen and pull that up there, because I think that there's that one line that's really important in that post, which is, I finally did it. And it shows you that like I have the balls and the courage to build my own app and tell the world about it. Everybody secretly wants to be an entrepreneur, have financial freedom, build a business. At least there's some desire there, I think, for everyone. I can only speak about myself, but I do think that a lot of people behind the scenes will tell me like, man, I really want to do what you do and that sort of thing. Only maybe 5% or even less do this and tell the world about it. And that's half the battle, even if it doesn't get a whole lot of, likes or whatever. I think it's amazing. I think it's like a huge hack to leverage this right here, to be able to go and your business starts with 0 customers, go to your network, your Instagram following, your LinkedIn following, your friends, family, network, whatever. That's where you can get your first customers, or that's when you can get connections to your first customers. You're at a huge disadvantage if you decide you want to do the faceless thing or whatever. So if you want to do it the hard way, do that. But I think that this is just like such a great way to get people in your corner and then get over that psychological hurdle of putting yourself out there.
I feel like with all the like AI stuff or like AI generated comments and posts and things like that, an advantage is, putting yourself out there, being real. People like to root for that kind of stuff.
Let people root for you.
Yeah.
I think you just also, you attract cooler people that are doing cool stuff online when you put yourself out there. Like you're always going to have somebody that's hating from the sidelines. I feel like most of that is just cope or like a jealousy because they don't do it themselves. But then in reality, when you put yourself out there, you end up getting cool opportunities, talking to really cool people that are probably much more like-minded.
So this last one is also from Dan Corby. This is a post he made on Reddit that got, let me see my notes, that got 753,000 views, 714 upvotes, 179 comments in the first 48 hours after he posted it. And so just to quickly run through what this is, it's sort of a little bit of a behind the scenes of what I built. He talks a little bit about his story, he talks about his project, the Focus Project, some lessons he learned from it, and then some kind of examples showing off like what the project actually is. And so a couple of things that I think are interesting about this post are like, one, it's I don't know, it's like just sharing from experience. It's not like an ad or a straight up ad for his project. Something people can comment on and learn from, etc. But then, the subtext of that, even though what I just said was that it's not an ad, is that it's kind of low key an ad. If this gets a lot, which it did, gets a lot of views and attention, there's probably a certain percent, I don't know what the percent is, maybe in the 1 to 3 to 5% of people that are going to say, Focus Project, I wonder what that is. And copy and paste that into, search and go to the app, and, a lower percent maybe sign up. So yeah, that's this one. What do you guys think about this one?
So Dan is, I think what's cool about this is that Dan Corby, the guy who created this and created the Focus Project, he's part of our Growth Accelerator, which is basically like kind of what I talked about earlier is we give you a bunch of ideas, you go and post it in a bunch of places, post on Reddit, post on Instagram. There's a bunch of templates. You just go and post it, but put in your project and all that stuff and see what hits. When something starts hitting, do more of that. Go to different, let's say Reddit starts working, go to different subreddits. So for anyone watching who's, sick and tired of building stuff and not getting any users, this is proof right here that the Growth Accelerator is a way to get users. And honestly, it's only for people that are serious about doing this. You got to be able to put yourself out there, but I think this is such a great example. So yeah, shameless plug on that, but I really do think this is just such a great example of someone who's getting users and making it happen and doing it in just a few days. There's another example in here that I think actually, because I talked to Dan about this and I was like, holy shit, man, you got 750,000 views. And then he told me, he was like, yeah, that's cool, but I actually got more users from a different post. And I really wanted to show this because, it's cool to get 1 million views. You got almost 1 million views on that one, but views don't mean shit without intent, right? Or action to be taken after. So this post right here, if you scroll down, I think I don't have the numbers exactly on how many views it got, but if that got 40 upvotes, what did the other one have? 714. That means it probably got 10% of the views. Let's say that this post here got maybe 50,000 views or 30 to 40,000 views. Dan told me that this post got more users than that other post. And that's like a little sauce right there, which is like, attention doesn't mean anything without intent. You can post on Twitter about what you had for breakfast and it gets 1 million views, but you won't get a single person to sign up for your app if you do that. And that's why everyone talks about, oh, but you have an audience, you know, you can do anything when you have an audience. That's bullshit, right? You got to have an aligned audience and you got to have a good product to fit for that audience and all that. So, you know, why this makes sense is it's actually where it was posted. So in the Growth Accelerator, we tell you to go and try different subreddits. This is posted in the r/productivity apps subreddit. His project is a productivity app, right? That makes sense.
Yeah.
So what was the other subreddit that his was in?
ChatGPT coding.
That's a bunch of people who want to build a business. They don't give a shit about your productivity app, right?
Yeah.
Go
For sure.
post it where your target customer is, and the intent to sign up will be way higher. And I think that's just such a great example of, you know, views don't mean shit, right? It's all about users, and that's the metric you should be looking at when you're trying to see what channels work.
Yeah. I have a question, Pat. Any like anecdotal stuff on like cautionary tales from posting on Reddit kind of thing? 'Cause for example, I've posted some stuff and sometimes it'll get like taken down by the mods and I'm like, God damn. And like you can learn from that and figure out like what does or doesn't work. And I'm sure it's not like blanket advice, but like what do you think about that? For Reddit specifically, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I was actually like, Reddit was the channel that blew Starter Story up. So I was doing the same thing as Dan Gorby, this guy here. I was posting on basically every channel possible to see, okay, can one of these things work? I was posting on Quora. I was posting on Instagram. I was posting on Facebook, you know, back then, Twitter, and, you know, things were a lot different back then. But then I had one Reddit post that got, I think, 400 upvotes. And it was high intent, like I was kind of talking about earlier. 1,000 people signed up for my newsletter at the time, and that was like the inflection point for the business. I went from kind of not feeling good about this business idea and thinking, okay, maybe I'll go start something else. And then that was the moment where Starter Story was truly born, even though it was months after actually building it. And that's why I'm so, you know, excited about the Growth Accelerator, because my goal with the Growth Accelerator is to help you experience that inflection point where all of a sudden you find something that works and you just do it over and over. And that's what I did with Reddit. I just posted the same content over and over and over, and I extracted the users from Reddit into my app, onto my website, into my email list. And that's the other thing with getting attention. You know, if you don't convert some of that attention to becoming customers, then it's also worthless. But yeah, man, Reddit is a tough place. You got to go on there and have a thick skin. You're probably going to get banned. You're probably going to get shadow banned. Yeah, this is the petition, right?
Isn't that funny? I think about this one. So petition to ban Starter Story.
So like this, I just, you know, this is the end. I had milked it dry for everything it was worth by this point. And you know, it was so controversial. Starter Story was so controversial because I was providing such valuable content that half the people were like, okay, like that's fine. You can promote your thing because this is so good. And the other half were just mad about the promotion thing. So if you read, you know, some of these comments in here, you can see that people like, you know, low key kind of supported and that sort of thing. But, you know, the mobs are crazy, man.
Yeah.
That's funny, right? It's crazy.
I got two things. I think one, the cool story about that is we made an actual video on the main YouTube channel about that.
Oh, that's true.
So go check that out if you are interested in that full story. Two, I think what's sick about this is Pat, you did this so long ago, like the Reddit thing,
Yeah.
and Dan Gorby's using it now, and it just shows like the strategy is still working. Like I bet some people are probably like, oh, this is outdated, this is not the move anymore, but it's literally proof that this still works. It's just the method is probably a little bit different.
Yep.
But I think that's really cool too, is that these things don't really die out. You just have to adapt to what works on it now.
Yep. Yeah, man. It's crazy. There are just millions of people hanging out on all these platforms. You just got to go get in front of them. And it's not just Reddit, you can do it on TikTok and all these other places. And it's just waiting for you. All you got to do is just try, and eventually something will work. All right. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed those examples. I mean, go out and just try a couple of those things. There's something that you could potentially do in just a few minutes. Obviously, put some work into it. Don't just copy and paste it, but doing this could change your business. It could be that inflection point. And I just really wanted to record these today to go over them, why they work, and hope you guys liked it. So it's cool to learn about these examples, but now it's time to take the step to just put them into action. If you have a project, if you started things, if you're building features and you want something more, then I think you should join the Starter Story Growth Accelerator. We have a new accelerator starting at the beginning of the month. And in this accelerator, we will challenge you to stop building features and start sharing and promoting and being shameless and getting users, getting paying customers, and changing your life. In the accelerator, we gamify it. We incentivize you to do the actual marketing. You'll do marketing every single day, and it'll feel fun. And once you start seeing the results, you'll get addicted to it. Dozens of people are seeing results in the accelerator every single month that we do it. They're getting users, they're growing their audience, and they're making their first dollars online and growing their businesses. So if you're ready to work on the stuff that actually matters, click the second link in the description and you can put your name in the hat to join the next Starter Story Growth Accelerator. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.